Hey everybody, Jessica Burrell here. Welcome to another episode of Everyday Inspiring Women. We're on episode 19. I can't believe it's a little passion project I started. I've had the very blessed opportunity to have 19 conversations with 19 incredibly inspiring women. And today my guest is Sausha Davis. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so Sausha is, we'll get into what she calls herself, but she is a coach, and she is just really leading in and kicking ass in her business right now. So I thought it would be really fun to have this interview. We met, we were just chatting about that before we started recording, but we met in the fall. We were both in a mastermind group coaching program together. And I just remember a lot of the posts that she was talking about, her property, and she really loves animals and horses, and she has a little baby girl. I think one's still a baby, but and how is she balancing her dreams and motherhood and like life and her partner and a growing business. So I thought, you know what, why don't we sit down and have a chat? So I'm super excited to learn even more about you than I already know.
Yeah, definitely. So like you said, we've been in the same mastermind since about fall. Prior to that, I was in the corporate world. So I was living for what everybody else thought I should do. I always based my job positions off of, oh, Sausha, I think that you would be good at this position, or Sausha, you would be good at this position. And I was a real go-getter. I was that person who would work 14, 16 plus hours a day, even bat an eye at it. At one point in time, I actually had 3 jobs and was a full-time going to university. How I even had time to sleep, I don't know, but that's just rise and grind is what I was always told. And so we'll back up a step. So I didn't really ever want to have children. I had we'll call it, for lack of a better word, a rough upbringing. Okay. There was lots of physical, mental, emotional abuse. And I had never wanted to project that onto my child, because that was the only way that how to be was that scenario. And so finally, me and my husband have been together 8 years, and he kind of was like, you know what, I'm happy with you. We don't have to have kids. And I was like, oh, and I just, so then it made me want to have children. And
that's
which
so
is
funny.
weird.
I love that. You're like, oh my God, I love you. Let's have a baby.
That was, if we don't have kids, it's fine. I love you for you. And then it was just like, oh, my heart. Okay, let's try, and boom, I immediately got pregnant. It was literally like 6 weeks later after we had made that decision, which to me, everybody talks about it takes 6 months to a year to have a child. And I'm like, oh, I have plenty of time. I had no time.
No.
So then it was like a coming to Jesus for me. It was, all right, I'm bringing this human into the world in order to make sure that she has the best life possible. I have to change my ways. I have to show her how to be, because me just pointing my finger and telling her is I'd be better off beating my head against a wall, right? Yeah. It like that doesn't work like that. And I still worked at my corporate job, but the more I went and the more, my belly grew, the more I was like, this doesn't feel right. Like, I don't want to be here. This isn't my life. And I found myself, I could not wait until I went on maternity. For more than just like she was going to be here,
Yeah.
And went on maternity leave, and I did not want to go back. I was like, I have to, and I don't know what it is. And the day I decided to quit was the same day that I found the podcast that led us into the same mastermind. So it was almost like the universe was like, hey, this is showing you this. Take the bait. Here it is, right? So I jumped. I didn't know what I was doing. I was terrified. And, but but I knew I didn't want to be in the corporate world. I knew I wanted to be a part-time stay-at-home mom, a business owner. I wanted to do the things that I wanted to do. I wanted to be the best parent, the best wife, the best human to not only myself, but for them. Yeah. And the more, I resisted the work a lot. Like, a lot. I didn't even
it's
know
vulnerable.
It is.
Yeah.
And I thought I was strong. My whole life, everybody's told me, "Oh, Sausha, you're such a tough ass. You're such a badass. You're such this. You're such that." Because I've always kind of been a go-getter. I don't really give a shit what other people think. I'm gonna do what I want. And this was a whole new realm of doing what I want. Like I had never even cracked into that, and so it was scary. And I'll be honest, I didn't even know what resistance was. And I was in this program. I'm like, what is awful? I hate this. But you can't grow if you're not uncomfortable. And I've kind of learned to lean into that and make that my buddy. You know, it's like, oh, come here, uncomfortable.
Come here, discomfort.
Yeah, it's the discomfort. Come here. And so I just decided, you know, I was going to be all in, and I had a few breakdowns, and I was like, woke up one day, said, I'm all in. There's no more excuses. My time with this program is limited, and I want to make the absolute most out of it that I can. And I ran balls to the wall, and I went from, you know, a six-figure income as a corporate manager to stay-at-home mom, working part-time, building a business. And I live on an acreage. Like, I have 4 horses, I have 5 dogs, and they're not just normal dogs because I can never have anything normal. They're all Saint Bernard, you know. So it's I'm busy, but I like to think of it as a fulfilled life. So that's where I'm at today. I mean, and that has all transpired in less than a year, but it's amazing what you can do when you put your how can I hat on and let fear be your friend. So
yeah, no, I think that's huge. You definitely have been really working hard. So tell me a little bit about working hard. Are you working harder? Like, how does that fit for you right now?
I don't think of it. I mean, the work is hard, but I don't want to say that I'm working hard. I'm working smarter, not harder. But the things that I'm doing are hard in a sense because I've never done them before. It's not like I'm waking up and like grinding all day long. You know, I have pockets of time that I have very focused work. Whereas before I would just work 14 or 16 hours, where now I'm only working, you know, 4 to 8 hours depending on the day. But it's really focused work. But the reason that it's hard is because it's new to me and I haven't experienced it yet. But once I tackle it, it's like, okay, I put that in my bucket of tools, and then I can either continue to do that with ease or I delegate it to somebody else who can do it for me. So
awesome.
But yeah, so with the building the business, you know, I have pockets of time that I work solely on my business stuff. And then I still work part-time at a therapeutic riding center because I absolutely love horses. I love helping people. I really believe in animal assisted learning and healing. So that job really keeps me grounded. And every day I go, I'm like, I can't believe these people pay me to come hang out with like these awesome individuals and all these amazing animals. And so that really helps keep me grounded in terms of my home life and my business life too. So
that's awesome. Yeah. So as being an entrepreneur, outside of this, feeling that discomfort and pushing through it, like it sounds like too good to be true. Like, have you had any challenges along the way outside of some like discomforts, or has it been pretty easy? And maybe it has. And it just sounds like a dream.
It's easy when I just shut up and do it.
Yeah.
I have some allergies. But no, in the beginning, you know, I have all these big scary ideas, as I'm sure you did and whoever's watching this does. And it's like, oh, well, what will people think? How will I market myself? How will I make money? What about the website? What about these email schemes, or not schemes, but email sequences? do I do video? Do I do podcasts? Do I do blogs? Like, where do I focus my time? How do I do this? And so a lot of self-worth issues came up, was all the value that I placed on myself, because I don't have an issue with being paid a significant amount of money from a company, but when I'm marketing myself, it really, like, your shit really comes up. And so that was the hardest part is, I'm like, oh, well, I'll just do this for free. And it's, well, yes, you can, but it's intention kind of behind it. I've been doing this work that I have now turned into a business for free for years.
Yes.
So kind of flip the switch and be able to charge for it was a battle all in itself. Several conversations, lots of journaling, lots of meditating, and lots of running, believe it or not, because I would get myself so amped up, so anxious, so nervous that I would just be dripping sweat. I couldn't figure out words to put with sentences, and I just kept spiraling down into this negative rabbit hole about I could never do this. This is insane. And I just have to go for a run and burn off all that bad energy, move so that I didn't get stuck. And that was a huge thing for me, was running. And I was never a runner before. If you would have told me last year, Sausha, you're going to be running 10Ks and plus now, I would have been like, you are insane. I am not a runner. I hate running. And now it's my go-to.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I feel that. I've had a lot of injuries over the past year, and it's I miss that outlet, because running is I've always found running to be incredibly meditative. You're focusing on your breathing, and you're focusing on your body and clearing your mind out. And yeah, it's a powerful tool. I feel you for sure. And I'm glad that you found a physical outlet too, because it's not just sitting on a pillow, which is important, but you need that physical piece.
Yes, definitely.
So would you consider running part of your self-care routine, or what would your self-care routine, what does it look like? So you touched a little bit, meditating and journaling and running. What else do you do?
My self-care routine, I have a morning routine that is pretty much turned into just a self-care routine, because if I don't take care of my thing in the morning, my whole entire day is off. It is crucial that I get up and things. And then, okay, so I get up every day about 5 a.m. Every day, weekends included. I really stick to a routine. It gets me amped up for the day. And immediately, I drink my water, I set the coffee, I meditate, I journal, I stretch, or I exercise. And then, I do my shower and things of that nature. But self-care wise, I have monthly things that I do. I have bi-weekly things I do. I carry a lot of tension in my shoulders and my back. So massages have become a regular part of my self-care, because there's only so much tension release that I can do. Because I am such a go-getter, and I like to do a lot of things. It kind of just brings me back down, because once you do those, they kind of release everything, and you never realize how much tension you carry in your shoulders until you go get it good. We implemented facials because I never really took care of my skin on my face, and after having a baby, my hormones went out of control, and I turned back into a 12-year-old girl with acne and things. So I started implementing facials where I actually go and get my skin taken care of.
Awesome.
And then another part of self-care is I always try to do something outside of my comfort zone for me, for my own fun, joy, and excitement. Lately, if I'm not riding horses, riding motorcycles, or gosh, I don't even know. I do roller skating. I've done roller derby. I did roller derby for a while. But this year I've been doing a lot more challenges in the sense of 5Ks, 10Ks. I've done a gladiator race. I've been doing adventure racing, things that kind of push me physically and mentally to a more personal limit rather than a business or family limit. So that's really been a game changer for me, because if I can get out of my own way and push my body to another level, then it makes it that much easier to do that within my business or within my work life too. So
awesome. That's
little
totally. So it's like, so what's next? Skydiving or something?
actually skydiving is on my skydiving and bungee jumping are on my list.
Perfect.
I'm a little bit of adrenaline junkie, so.
Yeah, I did a Tough Mudder, so I feel like it's the one thing I would say about a Tough Mudder is like same as a gladiator. It doesn't matter how long, it doesn't matter. The obstacle, it's like each obstacle you come up to and you're like, okay, how am I going to tackle this? And it's totally a metaphor for life, because it's like you just look at the problem, you're like, can I tackle it? And you fall and you hurt yourself, and then you get back up and then you go to the next one. So it's a really good analogy that I couldn't agree anymore. So like you're doing like all of these things. So, and you have your daughter, she just turned 1 not a couple months ago, maybe.
Yep.
Yeah. So being a mom, and like, do you deal with like mom guilt? Like how, if you do, and then how do you deal with that?
I used to feel really, really guilty in the beginning until I joined that mastermind and kind of felt like I wasn't alone anymore. But then the tools that I have learned in the past year have totally helped bring that mom guilt from like a 10, like the high 10, to more of like a 1 or a 2. And now I realize the things that I do for me make me a better mom, better parent for her. So when I'm not taking care of myself, it's almost like I'm half-assing being a mom, So that really helps with the guilt. Like I need those days away to rejuvenate, recharge my battery so that I can give her 100% focus. Because if I'm like 50% here, 50% here, like I don't want to be 50% of a mom. So when I'm focusing on business stuff, I'm 100% focused on business stuff. And then I shift gears, and then I'm 100% focused on self-care. And then I shift gears and I'm 100% focused on my daughter or my family or whatever it is that we're doing. And yes, not all the time is it 100%, which is where the 1 or 2% or like the 1 or 2 mom guilt comes in.
Yeah.
Because life happens. But now I just kind of roll with the punches, and I try not to beat myself up about it, because things happen, things get in the way. And I just know that every day I'm showing up and doing the best that I can. And that even though I am tough on myself, sometimes I'm a better person today than I was last year or the year before or the year before. So every day is progress and growth. And I'm just showing her that I can be present with her and not taking calls and trying to cook a meal, and and some days that happens, but I try not to. So
yeah.
What was the other question? Sorry, I got kind of off track.
No, you're right on track. It was just that, well, you answered it. You're good. It's all good. Like, it was just around the guilt, like, because I think, even when you're getting down to that 1 or 2 level on a scale of 1 to 10, but there's still 1 or 2 sometimes, right? So it's like, just noticing it, like everything that you were saying. And I do want to talk go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I've really been experimenting with like letting go and just like surrendering to the experience around me, and just sometimes feeling that emotion, because believe it or not, I always go back to gratitude. There's people out there who wish that they could be in my position, and it gives me goosebumps thinking about it. So like when I do get really, really low like that, I just say, I'm thankful that I can have the opportunity to have this roof over my head and be on the phone with a client, taking care of my child all at the same time, because there's a lot of people who don't have children, who don't have a roof over their head, or who cannot afford a phone, or who do not have a business, and so when I do tend to spiral, which it's very, very few time, or not very often. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is there. But I always go back to gratitude, and that seems to keep me grounded and shift quickly.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Yeah. Having that gratitude practice, especially in those moments, or in the moments like that, or in those real hard moments of growth too, leaning into gratitude, like really helps get you through it. I agreed for sure. I did want to touch point, like you mentioned, I just wanted to comment, because you had talked earlier about setting that example for your daughter and going like, knowing like with a 1-year-old, like, and you're in your early 30s, right, Sausha? Yeah. So like knowing in your early 30s, when you have like a 1-year-old going, hey, wait, you don't have experience parenting yet, really. And it's like, I need to be an example. I can't just tell my kids what to do and expect that they're going to me do one thing and tell them to do something else and they're going to turn out. And like, I think that to have that wisdom or insight with a 1-year-old in your early 30s, like that's huge. A lot of people, like it takes people a long time, like myself included. I'd like to think I was leading by example here and there, but not intentionally. Like for sure, intentionally the past 8 years, but I have like an almost 17-year-old. So it's like, wasn't quite learning those lessons yet, but all the knowing that switch is there. So I think that's huge. That's huge knowing that. And that's one thing I always say to my kids, you can never tell them what to do. They're never going to listen to you.
Nope. That told me one way and I would intentionally go do something else just because you told me to do it. And I still have a little bit of that rebellion in me today because someone will tell me that I can't do something and almost immediately I'm like, watch me.
Yeah. You want to make a bet?
Yeah, exactly. So.
Oh, no, I love that. That's awesome. So like, what's next? So you said right now you're kind of leaning into surrender and letting go. Is that a theme that's coming up for you, or is there something else that you're kind of leaning into moving forward right now?
Yes. Surrender and up-leveling my business are the two things that are coming up. So a lot of times, and so like the surrender is part of this. So like releasing control, because right now I'm like a one-man show because I'm still really new. And how can I teach somebody else to do something? I have people who help me, but who aren't really like on payroll. So my next thing is to find an assistant that can help me with all of my day-to-day tasks so I can focus on higher leverage actions. And what's coming up for me is, oh, well, do I have the money to pay these people? Or what if they don't do it right? Or how do I teach them if I'm not an expert at it? And things like that. So just kind of surrendering my control over things that I know somebody else could potentially do better than me. And then I can focus on things that are higher leverage for me and for my business and get in front of more people and help more women and really focus on the things that I'm good at.
Yeah.
So that's what's up for me right now, not only in my, I guess, personal life, but especially in like my business life. So
totally. Yeah.
It's an experience and I'm working on it. So taking little baby steps every day to get to me to where I want to be. So I've been experimenting with, or I should say researching virtual assistants and talking to people and what their experiences are and kind of look for. And then, writing down the tasks that I do every day and seeing what's like and I don't remember who I heard this from. I want to say I heard this from Rachel Cook on one of her podcasts. But she was talking about like, what are the $10 an hour jobs? What are the $20 an hour jobs? What are the $100 an hour jobs? And categorizing those so that I know who I can give what, and then where I need to focus. But each day I just take a little bit closer of a step to it and feel that emotion and just let it go.
Good. That's awesome. I can't wait to hear how that really helps impact the growth in your business, like moving forward.
I really hope it does.
Well, I can't imagine it, like, thinking about it, like I'm at that point a little bit with my business right now, not yet, but I have control issues too. I know, like, very self-aware. So it's like, what? And then I need to sit down and go, what am I willing to teach someone else to do? And I don't know what the answer to that is right now. I need to sit down and do it. And that's probably why I'm avoiding it.
Yeah. And that's writing down. You're like, oh, nobody could write emails like it's just true. But if you come up with all of your emails and then they can just pick one there's an excuse for everything. And so that's what I keep running into. I'm like, well, is this a legit reason or is this an excuse? And I'm running into excuse. the more I recognize that, the more I'm pushing for somebody to help me. I mean, and what I'll probably end up doing is doing some sort of temp job, maybe 5 or 10 hours a week, and then seeing where it goes from there and just kind of playing with it until I find something that works. So
makes total sense. Perfect. That's awesome. I can't wait to see how that evolves for you.
Me too.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit before we started the video, we were talking about community. So like, I'm really like, I love community and community building, and I love virtual, because otherwise we wouldn't have met, and we're doing this because we're friends virtually. But I love power of community and connection, especially in person. So I was curious, like what does the word community mean like to you, or how would you interpret it? And how do you cultivate community for yourself?
So community means finding a group of like-minded individuals who can uplift one another.
Mm-hmm.
I have poor experiences with, we'll just call them groups because I don't even want to refer to it as community, but like women's group, things like that, or like old friends or old cliques or things. They were very catty. They were very negative. They were very not uplifting in any sense,
Mm-hmm.
and I had always prided myself on being one of the guys, because with a bunch of guys, you don't really talk about the cattiness. But what I have learned recently, and especially in the last year, is that you can have community and you can have yourself surrounded by like-minded, powerful, uplifting women, and you feel better after being with those people.
Yeah.
You have to find those people. And that's what's cool about like this virtual, or, like going on the retreats or things of that nature. It's because I know that there's people out there like me now.
Yeah.
I'm from small town, and I mean small town Iowa. I live in a town with population 1,500. The nearest city to me is about 45 minutes away, which is where, I do like my groups and cliques and stuff. And that's about 100,000 people. But the people I grew up with aren't necessarily my community. So being in this mastermind and talking to people like you and other women, I have my online community, but now I am going to create my own community here in Northwest Iowa, because I know I can't be the only one. And the more I get in front of people and the more I talk about it and the more I do these things like with you or with other individuals, they always seem to pop up, 1 and 2 here and there. And you can tell, like, it's hard for me to put into words, but it's almost like you have that connection. It's like there's a string drawn from me to you, and it's like, oh, I need to be in that person needs to be my friend, or this person needs to be in my life. And it's almost like you're gravitated to them and they're gravitated to you. And so my next goal for community is to build something like that here. And I'm working on it. I have about 10 individuals in my community personally, and I've only been doing this for a few months. And so I'm really anxious to kind of break out of that shell a little bit more and get in front of more women and say like, hey, like, let's do an event, or let's do a retreat, or let's just get together in the park and sit in a circle and share each other's stories. Whatever it is, I'm sure it'll kind of organically evolve as I keep taking action on it. But yeah, community has been a game changer for me. I would not be here talking to you today if I did not have a community to help me and hold me accountable and just kind of help me up level my game. So
that was beautiful. I loved it. And I have to like say, when you're like, I love the way you described the string, because that's way more articulate than how I describe it. Because I'm like, I like you, I'm going to start stalking you. So heads up.
I'm just
right. But I get that feeling, because I'm like, there's people that come into my space and I'm like, I need to be friends with you. Like, I need more of, and like, joking aside, those people, I've done that, like taken that action, being like, how can I be friends with you? Because this has to happen. And, I've been fortunate that they didn't like think I was totally a nut job. And I was a gentle stalker. No, but and then they've spoken at my tribe meetups, or I've done interviews with them, and I'm just like, I just love the power of community. I love women and women who share their stories, and there's so much power and healing in it. So I'm excited for you to hear how that is going to come.
I'm really excited.
Yeah, that's amazing. Keep me posted for sure.
Yep.
I think you said something and I missed it. What did you say?
Oh, I just said it's already evolving, and it's so exciting. So exciting.
Yeah, there's lots of people out there that are like you, then they just don't, and they're sitting there going, I think I'm all alone.
Yeah, I was one of them. So
for sure. So a year, like really working on yourself, like, do you read, like, are you into motivational books or quotes? Like, is there something that you would say like was huge, helped you really shift some mind outside of the coaching, like books that you read or quotes that you lean on that really help you move or shift thought?
Yep, I read all the time. But I started this personal development journey actually back in 2006.
Okay.
When Secret came out. And I have been a law of attraction junkie since then. I love everything about it. I love reading those types of books. Abraham Hicks, I really enjoy all of their productions and books and things of that nature. But one book that I read recently that really stands out to me is actually Love Warrior by Glennon Doyle.
Love it. Yeah.
Just the vulnerability in that book. Oh my gosh. It was, I get goosebumps talking about it because I feel like I can resonate with so much of what she has to say with like what society projects onto you and the struggles that you have to go with and your inner thoughts versus your outer thoughts, and still just showing up, and things just kind of started to unfold for her. She just kept having aha moments and kind of leaned into that. And that book really stands out to me. I feel like I'm on a similar path in that sense. And so it gives me hope, and now she's on this love warrior mission and wants to spread love to everybody. And I love everything about that. But I read books all the time. I really like Gabby Bernstein and Brene Brown. I really love Brene Brown. I recently read Girl Wash Your Face by Rachel Hollis. I really enjoyed her book too. She was very vulnerable in hers and talked about a lot of life experiences and what she learned on it and how we can learn from her experiences. And then I've been into a lot of brand books and marketing books and things of that nature now that are kind of in the personal development business world, and overcoming obstacles that you see in there. What you go through in your personal life kind of translates into your business life too. So it's kind of cool to see that from a different perspective in terms of like, well, who's your target market and who's this and why do you think that? So I've been really into those. But my favorite quote, and I don't even remember who said this, but I say it to myself all the time, and it's, everything you want is on the other side of fear. And it's so time that fear comes up and wants to keep you small and keep you safe, I always have to ask myself, like, am I willing to take that jump? Am I willing to take that leap? It's almost like I'm a very visual person, so I like to visualize myself in scenarios. And it's almost like there's like two cliffs, right? And you just have to like run and jump, and you're not really sure if you can make it. And you do. And then once you get to the other side, it's like you're full of like gold and food and all of it. I just like to think that it's like this big elaborate other side. It's almost like you're like peeking over a fence and everything you want's on the other side. You have to climb over it and get it. Oh.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for spending the time to chat with me today. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. With this, I really I could talk for hours.
Me too. Me too. I love talk. It's like my favorite activity. I was just saying to someone
Yep.
today, my grade 6 teacher would be like, "Oh, you're such a social butterfly," and and I'm like, I felt ashamed about it, and now I'm like, "Damn right I am." Oh yeah, own it.
Yep.
So if people want to connect with you, what is the best? I'll post all your I'll post everything in the comments. So you just let me know. Oh, I feel like a little bit of feedback. Okay, maybe that's better. How can people get a hold of you if they want to learn more?
All over social. So you can find me on Instagram at Sausha_Davis_. Same with Facebook, Sausha Davis, or just go to SaushaDavis.com and I have all the links in there. You can message me. I have my Snapchat, Sausha Davis. I'm pretty active on all that stuff. You guys can see my goofiness throughout the day and all the things that I do and all of my no BS advice or experiences that I share. I have no filter, so some people really enjoy it. You might too.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, I'll post all of that in the links and your book recommendations as well.
Okay.
So, thanks so much. It was great to see you, and I look forward to seeing what you're up to next.
Yes, thank you.
Take care.